Happy Friday, everybody. This is so exciting to be back on Collider Dailies and hosting it today. So I hope everyone is having a great Friday so well. We have a lot of really fun things today to talk about, and I'm excited to have back Arezou to talk about
Hello.
all of these things. How are you doing today on this fine Friday?
I'm doing good. I'm excited today to talk about the stuff because this is all stuff I have like hyper fixated interest in.
Isn't it great when a news cycle is like perfectly catered to us? It's not at all like pick things that we love to talk about today. So kicking things off, I'm going to talk about kind of the biggest news I think that came out in the last 24 hours, which is Top Gun 3. It's getting a threequel. Great Balls of Fire. We're going to have more of this fun aviator fun. I am a huge fan of both Top Guns, particularly Top Gun Maverick, that came out back in 2022, which is insane. It feels like it was still just like yesterday. There's still so
Honestly.
much hype for it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm a huge Top Gun Maverick fan. I was not a fan of the original Top Gun. Like I liked some of the actors in it, but the story, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Hesitant about Maverick. And I was like, yes, now we're talking. This one was made for me.
Yes, I had some fond memories of the original Top Gun, but I went into Top Gun Maverick still fairly blind because I'd watched that as a kid, and then Maverick just blew my mind. I truly believe that was one of the best sequels that has ever been made because I think that it built off of the first film while still letting the new cast kind of have their moment to shine. So when this news came out last night from Puck that they are reportedly working on a threequel with the writer for Maverick, Ehren Kruger, coming back to pen the screenplay, and allegedly Tom Cruise, Glen Powell, and Miles Teller are in talks to return. Was really excited because I definitely think, as much as I love Maverick, you need that younger cast to come back. What are your thoughts about Top Gun getting a threequel? Do you think that there is, a danger? Is it in the danger zone of really just going to do all the puns today because John is not here to make fun of me? But is it in the danger zone of tarnishing how good the sequel is? I mean, that's always a risk that you run when you have a film that succeeds in pleasing the original fan base and also bringing new folks into the fold. What are your thoughts, Arzu?
So one thing I think Maverick did really well on its own was, like you said, it really pays homage to that first movie, but it wasn't like, remember how much you loved that first movie? Because I did not love the first movie, but I really liked it. It was like, welcome, come enjoy the airplanes with us. So on one hand, it doesn't surprise me that they're getting a sequel purely from a money standpoint because Maverick did really well.
Mhm.
But this is maybe like very optimistic and me just kind of projecting with less than 24 hours to think about it. But I am hopeful that, that first movie Maverick kind of had Maverick teaching like this new group of kids, and they're all kind of going on this mission under his leadership. And now this next one is kind of them becoming the leaders and kind of assuming that position, because Tom Cruise will be doing action movies until he's 125 years old, but like he can't do it forever. So I think like setting up, Miles Teller and Glen Powell and all of them to kind of take over is maybe where this is going to go. Maybe that's just where I want it to go. So cautiously optimistic. Let's
Yeah,
put
it
it that
would
way.
be interesting, especially since we had this news. I think it was also this week, Time is a Construct, about Tom Cruise kind of shifting gears and moving over to Warner Brothers, though
True.
it sounds like that's still on the horizon, like 2025, 2026, so not like tomorrow. But it is, interesting if this is going to be something where they set up his departure from the Top Gun world and setting it up so you do have the faces of Miles Teller and Glen Powell at the front of the story. People loved Rooster, people loved Hangman. I think they have the star power, especially Glen Powell, who is just like everywhere these
Are
days.
on the rise right now.
Absolutely star on the rise. He's very much leading man material. I also think Miles is leading man material as well, but I do think that like Glenn has the ability to like be the person to like lead this into like the new world of Top Gun. So that's something I kind of hope for. We'll see what happens. I'm very excited for this. I love airplane movies. Surprise, surprise. I've watched Top Gun a few too many times. I will not be admitting to how many times I've watched Top Gun Maverick, but I am very excited about where this could go. I know originally there had been kind of some rumors about maybe they would do a TV series of some sort. So I am excited that it sounds like it's going to be a movie instead.
Yeah,
And
that's very much a big screen experience.
yeah, it definitely is. You have to with those giant, plot pieces and, the stunts, the aerial stunts and all of that fun stuff. So I'm excited. This was kind of definitely the most exciting news of the week for me personally. But there was also some exciting news that broke this morning for fans of The Witcher. We're still a ways out from season 4, but it was announced today that Laurence Fishburne would be joining as a fan favorite character from the books. Regis, who is this world-wide barber surgeon who was actually first introed in the Baptism of Fire book. So I think that'll be, really exciting for a lot of fans of The Witcher. I am a fan of The Witcher, but I've never read the books, so it's not a character that I would call fan favorite. This is my first introduction to this character. But I love Laurence, so I'm really excited to see him entering that world. They've had some really incredible cast members in both Witcher series over on Netflix. So it's really cool to see them continuing to attract such, big name, star power, talent to that universe. I know that season 4 is definitely I don't want to call it controversial. I don't think it's controversial, but I think that there's a lot of discussion about how season 4 is going to look, and particularly how Geralt is going to look. We had that.
Really?
I know. We had that shakeup last year with Henry Cavill exiting and Liam Hemsworth joining. Season 4 will be his introduction as Geralt. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations? What are your hopes for where season 4 is going to go?
Okay, so I'm a Henry Cavill girly. I'm very sad he's not going to be back. However, I'm hesitant because I know I'm going to miss him.
Mm-hmm.
And his growly broodiness. Like, I'm not even going to pretend it was for a deeper reason. Like, I'm a Henry Cavill fan. That is a handsome man, and I'm going to miss him. That said, Liam Hemsworth is a good actor. He is also a handsome man. He's a good actor. So I guess I'm just wondering on a plot perspective, like how they're going to address how much younger he looks. Like, are they going to make a joke out of it? Is there going to be like a magical reason? I don't know. But also, if they're going to stack the cast like this, then all of this talent is not a bad thing. So
Yep.
I guess I'm always I want to be an optimist for stuff because if I go in dreading it, I'm going to hate it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a healthy way to approach anything. So it's happened before. I don't want it to happen again. So
I feel you. So I am an unrepentant fan of Liam Hemsworth. It's a shame that John's not on today's episode. Maybe he'll watch it and hear me talking flack again, because a few weeks ago, this conversation came up and we said we were going to do like a battle royale of our feelings about Liam Hemsworth, because I'm very much on Liam's side. I actually wrote a defense of Liam Hemsworth right after the casting news came out for Collider, which you can find over there. So I am very optimistic about his introduction into the Witcher universe. I think that he has the acting chops to play Geralt. I mean, Geralt's a fairly I don't want to call him like a basic character. He's not. There's nuance or stuff, but he's a very gruff, like you said, growly fantasy man. And so yeah, it's very straightforward. So I am interested to see what he will bring to the world, to that role on his own, because he has some experience and franchises of his own that he's been in. So I think that he's going to be good. And I like you, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with him looking different. They're blessed to be in this fantasy universe where he could get hit by some sort of magic spell. Some beast could maim him and he could have, you got a barber surgeon. Maybe he's gonna fix up his face, do some work on him.
What? I think he look better now.
Yeah. Maybe Yennefer will be like, I want a younger model. I actually think they're not dissimilar in ages, but I do think Liam looks a bit younger than Henry does. So, I'm curious. I'm excited. I actually thought that season 3 of The Witcher was much better than the previous seasons. It felt like they got very much back on track with the lore that fans were expecting from it. It was very well received. So I still think it was very like shocking that Henry chose that season to leave after, when it was definitely one of the best seasons so far. But I think that also brings a lot of hope for where season 4 might go. If the storytelling was already picking up with season 3, there's a lot of fun stuff that they can do with season 4, especially with the introduction of Regis. So I think it's going to be fun. I am cautiously optimistic. I would love to know what folks in the chat are thinking about, season 4 of The Witcher. Are you excited about this new casting news?
Are you mourning the loss of Henry Cavill like I am?
I think it hasn't quite set in for a lot of people yet. I think once we start getting, some press stuff and some promos for season 4, that's when it'll really start to hit for people. But we did get a couple comments while we were talking about the Top Gun one. So I do like this one from Sam, who's talking about, if it's a cash grab, like, of course, we're all going to be curious about where this new one could go. And you know what? Sometimes cash grabs end up paying off and people are happy with it. So, if this is going to be a cash grab for a threequel, I am definitely going to be sat. I'll be there opening weekend. So I guess now we are going to be moving on to our third topic, which is really just shameless promotion for something that Arezou and I are both very much passionate about. You can see Nubs sitting over here. Yes, Nubs and Rise. This one is for you. So yesterday, we got some new pictures for the Young Jedi Adventures, the back half of season 1, which teased some really exciting things. And I'm actually going to throw this one over to Arezou to talk about some of these images. We have 4 new stills, and the voice of God, Adam, is going to be queuing them up on screen. Very new, very fancy technology brought to you by StreamYard so that you can see what we're talking about. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this on the podcast after the fact, you cannot see it. This is not an audiovisual podcast, so you will just have to check out collider.com and see the pictures for yourself.
So there we go. There's our first image. So if I'm not mistaken, we are getting Belle back. More Belle. So for those who have not caught up on Young Jedi Adventures, first of all, please do. Second of all, these are based off of the High Republic, and we are starting to finally see book characters being brought into the show, which is very, very exciting. And it looks like Belle, who is one of the Padawans from the books and who has made the jump to the screen, is back. I sincerely hope that's Belle, because it's really embarrassing for me if it's not.
I think everybody has more or less assumed that it is indeed Belle.
Okay, good. And he, I think, is holding a map to Blackspire Outpost, because we know they're going to Batuu, which, if that name sounds slightly familiar, that is Galaxy's Edge at Disney World and Disneyland. So the kids are going to Disney.
And of course, you've got Nubs looking adorable, really
cute,
giving Grogu a run for his money. I do not care if Grogu is the one that won Star Wars' poll this week. It is Nubs. Nubs all the way.
Grogu has an edge because he's been around longer. Nubs is cuter. I'm sorry.
Nubs is here to win.
That to be said.
All right, let's cue up image number 2. Look at that.
This is the one I'm the most excited for. So we have a Padawan Tabor team up. So Tabor is their like nemesis, but nemesis for a show for 6-year-olds is like, he's the playground bully, but which, like, holding a weapon, but still a playground bully. And like, they are teaming up against something. And this is the one I'm most excited for, because I am a villain redemptionist, and I don't care if this character is 8 years old. He's still the villain. And he's getting a redemption arc. I've decided that's what's happening. We've got Nubs in the back looking adorable. We've got I forgot the name of Tabor's little Gamorrean friend, but she's my favorite.
She's adorable.
Tiny little queen in the back. So this is the part I am most excited. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the finale. This is not speculative, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was the finale, really, because of the stakes of the whole thing. I am wondering where Nash is, though.
Yeah. Maybe coming in for reinforcements in a later scene.
I hope so.
Yes. Let's cue up image number 3.
They are going back to Starlight Beacon, it looks like, because that's what Kai is holding. Also very exciting. I love that they are really... I think the books have just become such a part of this show now. It's not like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of Easter egg anymore. It's like a part of the plot.
Mhm.
So I guess they're going to go back to Starlight Beacon. Actually, I know they're going to go back to Starlight Beacon because of the other image. But yeah, that's what this is. Me guessing, like I don't know this for sure. But yeah, so can we cue up the fourth image? Because that's the one I really want to talk about.
For light,
Yeah. So all of the Jedi, all of our faves are here. Again, if you are not reading the High Republic, you are missing out. But basically, I think it's safe to assume if you are reading the High Republic that your fave is probably in this room if they
Mhm.
were alive during phase one. So Stella and
If
Gio
they weren't alive during phase 1, rip.
rip, honestly. But so Stella and Geos is here. And I'm happy about that. But yeah, so for those who have not read it, the woman in the middle standing beside Yoda is the Chancellor of the Republic.
Mhm.
And while we don't know what's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the note we were going out on for the season. This is
Yeah.
very for light in life.
Mhm.
So what do you think, Maggie?
I'm just really excited that, I am not the biggest fan of splitting up seasons into 2 parts and having to wait. I think it tends to cause people to lose a little bit of focus and interest on the show. So I'm hoping that with these new batch of images, people are like, oh yes, it's coming back in February. Like we're just around the corner to see the rest of this.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore Young Jedi Adventures. I think it is one of the best animated series that Star Wars has put out here recently. And, the same thing goes with like my undying love for like Star Trek Prodigy. I love that we are getting these stories that are geared towards children, but
Mhm.
they aren't shying away from bigger themes that tie into, the fandom, the anchor fandom for them. That is a really great way for children and adults to get into these franchises. I think that, the High Republic has always been something that was a gateway for a lot of people in the same way that, Star Wars books were gateways for us when we were younger. And so it continues to be such a joy to see like a younger demographic getting into Star Wars and these like beautiful storytelling ways. Like the stuff that's in the Young Jedi Adventures is just so worthy of praise. And it's a shame that like children's shows don't get a lot more focus in the media. And that's why I have continued to be a champion for Young Jedi Adventures here on Collider Dailies, because I want more people to watch it. It is just so delightful.
It's such a good example in a show of like a good way to heighten between hiatuses because they've had 2 now for this season. And like their return from the second hiatus was like, look, we have book characters. And then this one's like, look, we have all the book characters. Like it's such a good way to heighten for people like us who are so outside that target demographic, but also who are like super, super engaged because it is really good storytelling.
Mhm.
Like it's really solid storytelling. And then for the little kids who are like, this is their first Star Wars, this is how they're getting into it. It's like, okay, these are the kids like you and your friends at recess. And like the world's actually bigger. Actually, it's much bigger. And then it kind of it like you said, it's such a gateway and it really opens that door to them in such an organic way and in such a like progressive way. So it gives them kind of time to take it on and absorb it. And now you've got a bit more. And now you've got a bit more, which is actually not dissimilar to how the books have been rolling out in terms of scope. So everything surrounding this show is just so brilliantly done.
I completely agree. I also think it's really smart marketing to introduce a lot of these characters to a different audience. Obviously, not everybody is book readers, not everyone's listening to the audiobooks, but you have this really great show that is coming out that is getting a lot of attention right before The Acolyte is coming out sometime this year, which is also set in the High Republic and has, a High Republic character in it. And so I think this was a really smart rollout for Star Wars to get kids interested, to get some excitement going on, to get people to recognize characters that might pop up in the Acolyte in a really fun, family-friendly way. So I think, this is just continuing to build excitement for where the High Republic could go within, the Acolyte, which I am very, very excited for coming out this year. And I am dying for that trailer to come out. I need everyone to see it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It plays rent-free in my head from when we saw it in London last year, which was way too long ago for it not to be out yet for everybody to see. And I love that we have this comment here in the comments about Skeleton Crew. Yes, I really hope that we get a Skeleton Crew trailer this month or this week, or I don't know. I need it. I need to see that one again as well, because
R.I.P. to my hand for how hard you squeezed it when we saw it at Celebration.
very sorry for breaking Arezou's hand. You know, these things happen when you're really excited about Star Wars. So I think this was a really great way to, you know, cap off the end of Collider Dailies and the end of the week. If you're in the comments and you haven't watched Young Jedi Adventures yet, like, go stream it. It's on Disney Plus. Watch it this weekend. It's an easy, calm, relaxing watch to wind down after a very busy kind of first full week back, really, after the holidays. I don't consider the first week of January to really truly count. This is the first week back. And, you know, I think the news cycle this week has really proven that things are kicking off again. We've got lots of fun casting news and projects in the works. So be sure to keep your eyes on Collider as things continue to break and come out. Arezou, do you have anything that you would like to talk about? And you just had a really fun interview that came out last week during, it was the Ming Na one, right? Or no, who was it?
It was the Brother Son.
Brother-Son
Junket. Yes. So you should check that out. It's on our YouTube with Michelle Yeoh and with Justin Chen.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, I wanted to call him Charles because that's his character's name. Also watch The Brother's Son. It's violent, but it's very good.
I've heard
Michelle Yeoh is just phenomenal in it. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So
yes. Well, until next week, I have no idea who is on the schedule next week, but you will see some familiar faces, I'm sure. So until then.